But I'm just going to quickly share 3 wows for me from my research and my dabbling in brain network attunement healing. And the first is there's many categories of memories, and I now feel like I've ended up at a much deeper root cause level of memories. I've really come to have a recognition that it's not just our emotional memories, but the somatic memories, the memories of our body are incredibly important. And then always wanting to help validate this work. I feel like the science of brain networks really explains medical intuition and what we do as body talkers and body intuitives in our clinics. So I'm just going to briefly share here. So in doing any type of mind-body medicine, it is essential to find memories from the past, really that where we're carrying our emotional baggage. And these are memories that have active emotional charge, and this is the key to healing. Okay? And these memories that are similar, kind of network together in the brain, science has shown that. And if you find one of these networks of similar memories, all on a theme, okay, you can clear them out very efficiently as a whole file drawer. But the cognitive science behind brain networks has taken me to a new level of memory that I had not been to before in this way. And these are memories that, yes, they have active emotions. They might be in a file drawer, but these are the big memories in that file drawer that change our being. They change how we think, they change what we believe, they change how we perceive, and they change the physiology of our body. And the term for these memories in cognitive science is priors. Okay. Um, so they're referred to as priors. So they're a subset of the active memories that in science are called pathogenic memories. They're deeper, they're older, and they're more in fact impactful. And when we started working with the brain networks, this is where we ended up. These are held as frequencies in the brain networks. And when you find them and clear and repattern them, there are profound, rapid shifts and really incredible insights from the clients. And I want to give you just a couple examples. So first, I'm just going to take you to, this is just from a session that I did a week ago, but this is the type of thing that a client might say when you get to a prior. So I'll describe the incident in a minute, but this is what she said. I'm totally aware that that memory, that experience changed my life. There was a before and an after. Okay, that is the essence of a prior because a new mindset or sometimes a new behavior, a new way of being happens in when an emotionally charged memory is qualifies as a prior. So the mindset afterwards that she had is life is holding only by a thin thread. Okay. So life is very fragile. So she was a very healthy, active young woman, had injured her shoulder, just a teenager. She was in for shoulder surgery, not so complicated, but she had a reaction to a drug that they gave her as they're rolling her in and ready to start the surgery, and she went into respiratory arrest. She couldn't move, she couldn't speak, and she couldn't breathe. So she thought she was going to die. And looking up at the clinicians around her, no one was noticing that something was wrong. And then she lost consciousness. Okay. Obviously, she came out fine. It's many years later, but she had a different view of the fragility of life since that time. Okay, I'm going to give you one other quick example here. So when I was a child and early teenage years, I swam competitively. So I swam for about 5 or 6 years, and I loved swimming. I always loved to be in the water. I swam 1 to 3 hours a day. Um, but on, and I was going to swim my first race in the ocean, and it turned out the race was on my birthday, the day I turned 14. But the issue was I had been swimming with the people my age, the 12 and 13-year-olds being 13, but and they swam like a nice small loop in the ocean, still very challenging race. But when you turned 14, you swam with the adults. So basically, I was all of a sudden swimming, I think it was about 6 times further. The race was much longer. And I was swimming with close to 100 women of all ages, very competitive swimmers. And it was up there with one of the worst experiences of my life. This sea of women basically all ran into the water together. I found a picture of an ocean water race so that you'd get an idea. And the goal really, it seemed, this is the mindset that I was left with. The best way to get ahead and win was to swim right over the top of the people in front of you. So that's what I remember. I was kind of one of the smallest people there. I was the youngest, and they pulled on your body, they dunked you. I was sure that I was going to drown, and my right leg was pulled by a woman, or maybe many women, in an attempt to get ahead. And that injury has evolved over time, that the memory in that whole neurological area of my body is part of the sacroiliac pain that I've been recovering from with this work for the past year. So that gives you just a feel for what a prior is. Um, and I just want to give you another example of how priors have taken us to a different level of working with memories. So I've been working with an amazing woman who, as my client, but she's also a practitioner herself. I've worked with her for a few years. She's made major progress. We've cleared many, many emotionally charged memories. But when we started working with brain networks and getting to this category of prior, we got to a whole new level, memories that we've never been to before. And she has a fair amount of stress in her life now, but what I observed in the brain network session is that her body is actually going into severe stress mode. Remember, these you flicker in and out of these network states. She was triggering sympathetic mode tens of thousands of times a day. And that was really preventing healing, because no healing happens when the body is in that type of stress. And we really got to the root of this, which is she was in Israel at the beginning of the Gulf War. She remembers lying in bed in the middle of the night. She was listening to something that she listened to, and it was a radio station called The Voice of Peace, broadcasting from a ship that was called the Peace Ship in the Mediterranean. She even remembers what she was listening to at the time: Neil Diamond and Barry Manilow. And then through this beautiful, harmonious music, all of a sudden, there was kind of uh, another signal that came in, lots of beeps and codes like viper snake. And her whole nervous system went into alarm. She heard the air raid just a few minutes later. It was the first time she had heard an air raid. signal and a mindset kicked in. Some people would be like, I have to hide, but she went into just immobilized to survive. I have to move. I have to check all the doors. I have to check my mom. I have to grab my prayer book. And she now shares that she can feel this mindset kick in every day as she starts her day. And she still wakes up at the middle of the night, although she never did before this experience. So I've tried to give you a few examples of these priors. I really want to move and bring on Britt and Julia, but I want to just say something about the body memories. So basically, what I've realized from working with the brain networks that our brains hold two different types of memories. We're aware of our conscious memory of things that we have emotionally lived through, things that made us sad, angry, fearful. But there's another level of memory held in a different brain network that is more subconscious. And these are the somatic memories, the memories of the body. And the brain network attunements always address the two together. Mind and body do not just impact each other. In this work, we really see that they're completely one. So I shared my experience of the birthday swim race, and basically my change after that was I never get in a pool. I never swim. You can't get me in water. Okay. Before that, I was in water all the time. Um, there were a whole set of memories in unpacking my chronic pain in my hip. After swimming, I went to gymnastics, and I've always been aware that since doing gymnastics, my right hip has been different. It always pops, and that happened when I started gymnastics. But when I started going to the body memories of what happened in gymnastics, there was all this negative messaging from the male coach about how, you know, this group of girls that I was part of, we were never going to amount to anything. We just weren't going to be good. He was, doing us a favor to work with us. So we felt kind of demeaned. And as we are getting that messaging, doing the various things in the uneven parallel bars, you're constantly wrapping your hips around the bar. So the somatic memories here were remembering the experience of swimming this race, the women pulling me underwater, the woman pulling on my right leg, remembering working with the uneven parallel bars, which I actually really liked. But as I constantly banged my hips against this bar, because that's how you do it, I kind of downloaded all of this messaging from the coach. So just a little snippet of somatic memories. All right. And then the last thing that I think is really cool is I feel like I understand from a brain networks and a scientific perspective how we work as medical intuitives in the body talk and body intuitive system. We learn the capacity to focus our intuition on someone else. What's up for them? What's their priority? What needs to be addressed, linked up, energized, healed? And this pretty amazing capability can now, science has validated it with the brain networks because we all have the capacity to turn up the volume on our intuitive perception, that voice within, that is a particular network, the salience network. We all have two attention networks, one that allows us to focus on whatever we really want to focus on, and the other it relates to distraction. So we can ignore the distractions and tune into what's up with someone else. But there is also a network that has been described that everyone has that operates all the time that allows us to read somebody else's mind. What's up for them? What do they think? What are their emotions? To perceive their emotions and really to feel what they're feeling inside us. Okay, so this capacity to read someone else's mind and body, this is what we use. We also have a network that is our capacity to be in the zone, in a flow state where we can download a lot of information that normally we wouldn't have access to. That's the enlightenment network. So this collaboration of all of these brain networks really it is a beautiful way to understand the capabilities that we have in these systems of medical intuition. So I hope I've got you excited about that. I'm going to just quickly share how long does this take? So I'm going to share 4 stories of pain. The first, I had a bad flu about 6 months ago. And even though I was essentially recovered, my whole body ached. I was achy everywhere. My mouth hurt, my joints hurt, my face hurt, everything hurt. And I sat down and I'm like, I'm going to give myself a little session. This is ridiculous, this level of pain. And I tuned into the network that was basically turning the volume up on the pain. All the pain was gone in 10 minutes. Okay. I had a client that came to me that had really trigeminal neuralgia, really bad facial pain from activation of the shingles virus after an infection. Gave her 1 session. All the pain was gone in 1 day. I had another client that had right sacroiliac pain, just like me. I gave her 2 sessions working on my understanding of the pain networks in the body and the pain relief networks. She was better in 2 sessions. And then there's me. I had right SI pain, and really a chronic condition that has been going on for about a year. And this is not a 10 minutes, 1 day or 2 sessions. This has been many, many sessions by many amazing practitioners. And slowly it is getting better. It just really recently jumped from about 30 to 40% better to about 80 to 90% better. So this work has resolved it, but it took a little bit longer. And I've shared just a few of the priors that were behind that.